My friend, let me ask you something. When was the last time you felt truly alive? Not just existing, not just going through the motions, but actually feeling that spark inside you that says, this is what I was made for. Most of us get stuck in a routine and we call it life. We wake up, do the same things, talk to the same people, take the same safe choices, and deep inside we know we are capable of more, but fear and comfort have trapped us. The comfort zone feels warm, but it is the very place where dreams go to sleep. The truth is, everything you want, everything you dream of, everything that could make your life extraordinary, it all lives outside your comfort zone. The comfort zone never allows growth. It never challenges you. It never asks you to stretch your wings. It whispers, stay here, it's safe, but what it doesn't tell you is that safety is the enemy of greatness. The people who achieve more, who live with passion, who change their lives, are the ones who dared to feel uncomfortable. They walked into uncertainty, they faced rejection, they were laughed at, they were doubted, but they kept moving. Think about it. What's really stopping you? Is it fear of failure? Fear of what people will say? Fear that you're not good enough? Let me tell you, failure is not the opposite of success. It is the path to success. Every setback is a lesson. Every rejection is redirection. Every mistake is shaping you for something bigger. Those who are too afraid to fail never even begin. And if you never begin, you've already failed. Life doesn't reward the ones who stay comfortable. It rewards the ones who take risks, the ones who try when everyone else is hesitating. Do you want to look back years from now and say, I could have, I should have, but I didn't? Or do you want to look back and say, I was scared, but I tried, and that's why I built a life I'm proud of? There will always be a voice inside your head that tells you, stay where you are, don't take the risk, don't embarrass yourself. But remember, that voice is not your future. It is your prison. The real you, the stronger you, the braver you is waiting outside of that prison. Every time you push past your comfort zone, whether it's speaking up when you're nervous, taking a chance on an idea, or stepping into the unknown, you unlock a new version of yourself. And here's the secret. Courage doesn't mean you don't feel fear. Courage means you feel the fear, and you do it anyway. The fear never completely disappears, but every time you face it, you shrink it. Slowly, the things that once terrified you become the things you master. That is how you grow. So my challenge for you is simple. Stop waiting. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting for life to hand you the chance. There is no perfect moment. There is only now. Take the step. Say yes to the opportunity that scares you. Try the thing you've been putting off. Speak when your heart is pounding. Fail boldly and learn quickly. Your future self is begging you to stop hiding behind comfort and start chasing growth. You are capable of so much more than you think. The world will never see your full potential until you decide to step out of the shadows and into the light. Yes, it will be uncomfortable. Yes, it will be scary. But that's the price of transformation. And once you taste the life beyond your comfort zone, you'll realize it was worth it. The comfort zone feels safe. It feels familiar. It feels like home. When you're inside it, you don't have to worry about risks, challenges, or failures. Everything seems predictable. And because it's predictable, it feels comfortable. But here's the truth that most people don't realize until it's too late. The comfort zone may feel safe, but it silently kills growth. It convinces you to stay where you are, and while you're standing still, time keeps moving. Opportunities pass by, and your potential remains locked away. It's like sitting in a beautiful cage. You may feel secure, but you'll never know what it's like to fly. Growth requires movement. It requires stretching beyond what is easy and what is familiar. Think about it. When you learned to walk as a child, you didn't learn by staying seated. You fell, stumbled, cried, and tried again. That discomfort was the process of growth. The same principle applies to every stage of life. You cannot build strength by lifting what is light. You cannot develop courage by always avoiding fear, and you cannot grow by staying in the comfort zone because comfort never demands more of you. It simply keeps you repeating the same patterns over and over until one day you wake up and realize nothing has changed. The comfort zone is dangerous because it gives you the illusion of progress. You convince yourself that because you are busy, you are moving forward. But busyness is not the same as growth. Answering emails, scrolling through your phone, sticking to routines, these things may fill your time, but they don't expand your life. Deep down, you know you are capable of more. You know there are dreams, talents, and opportunities within you that remain untouched. Yet fear disguises itself as logic and whispers, "Not now. It's too risky. What if it doesn't work?" And so you choose comfort over challenge, and that choice slowly eats away at your potential. The comfort zone is not a place of growth, it's a place of decay. When you don't challenge your mind, it becomes weaker. When you don't test your courage, fear grows stronger. When you don't pursue your dreams, they start to fade until they no longer feel possible. Think of a muscle. If you never use it, it doesn't just stay the same, it shrinks. The same happens with your potential. Staying comfortable doesn't preserve it, it diminishes it. Day by day, you lose the hunger, the creativity, and the drive that once burned inside you. And the scariest part is, you may not even notice it happening until years have passed. Many people believe that staying in their comfort zone will keep them safe from pain. But the reality is, it creates a different kind of pain, a quiet, gnawing pain of regret. The pain of looking back and realizing you never tried, never risked, never discovered who you could have been. That pain is far heavier than the temporary discomfort of growth. Fear of failure often keeps people trapped, but what they don't realize is that failure inside the comfort zone is guaranteed because you fail to even give yourself the chance to succeed. Look at anyone who has achieved something remarkable. Their journey always began with stepping outside the familiar. They walked into situations where they had no experience, where they risked rejection, where they were misunderstood, judged, or doubted. And yet, it was precisely that discomfort that shaped them. Discomfort is not a signal to stop, it is a sign that you are growing. If you feel nervous, scared, or unprepared, it means you're about to stretch yourself into a stronger version of who you are. But the comfort zone tricks you into thinking that discomfort is dangerous. It makes you believe that staying put is the smarter choice. And for a while, it feels like the right decision, because you're not failing, you're not embarrassed, you're not taking risks. But what you also aren't doing is evolving, and life without evolution becomes a slow decline into mediocrity. The tragedy of the comfort zone is that it feels like safety, but it's actually the slowest form of self-destruction. Every day you stay in your comfort zone, you trade possibility for security. You trade your future for your present. You trade growth for stagnation. You trade who you could become for who you already are. And while the trade may feel invisible today, years from now it will be painfully clear. People often look at those who have succeeded and think they were lucky or talented or chosen. But most of the time, the difference was simply this: they were willing to leave the comfort zone while others chose to stay. That's why it's important to recognize the comfort zone for what it truly is, not a safe space, but a trap. A trap that looks harmless, yet holds you back from everything you're capable of. And the longer you stay in it, the harder it becomes to leave, because comfort becomes addictive. The more you indulge in it, the more it convinces you that you don't need to change, that you can wait until tomorrow, that you'll try when you're ready. But the truth is, tomorrow never comes. There is no perfect time. The comfort zone will always have another excuse, another reason to keep you where you are. And unless you break free, you'll never know what you could have achieved, what kind of life you could have lived, and what kind of person you could have become. Everything you truly desire in life, success, growth, transformation, fulfillment, it all exists outside of your comfort zone. The dreams you hold in your heart, the vision of the life you want to live, the person you secretly know you could become, none of it will ever be found in the familiar routines of comfort. Comfort can only give you what you already have, but your goals and dreams are bigger than your present reality. To reach them, you must step into a space that feels uncertain, uncomfortable, and sometimes even terrifying. That's the price of achieving something greater than what you currently know. Think about the times in your life when you felt proud of yourself. Was it when things were easy, when life was predictable, and when there was no challenge? Or was it when you pushed yourself to do something that scared you, something you weren't sure you could handle, something that demanded more from you than you thought you had? The truth is, pride and fulfillment never come from staying the same. They come from stepping into the unknown. That's why everything you desire lies beyond the boundaries of comfort. It's a test to see how badly you want it. Opportunities rarely show up wrapped in certainty. They almost always appear with risks, doubts, and challenges attached. The reason is simple. If opportunities were easy and safe, everyone would grab them, but they're not. And that's why so few people ever reach their true potential. The majority stay in their comfort zones, watching from the sidelines, while the few who dare to step out are the ones who transform their lives. Your dreams are waiting for you, but they're not waiting inside the safety of your routines. They're waiting on the other side of your fears. Outside your comfort zone is where growth happens, where skills are built, where confidence is developed. It's the place where your talents are stretched, your resilience is tested, and your courage is forged. Imagine someone who dreams of becoming a great speaker. Inside their comfort zone, they may avoid speaking up, avoid embarrassment, avoid criticism. But outside the comfort zone, on that stage, in front of people, with their heart pounding and voice shaking, that's where they'll discover their power. Every great communicator, leader, or achiever started by stepping into that same fear, and because they dared to go beyond comfort, they unlocked a version of themselves that was hidden all along. Everything in life works this way. If you want financial success, you must take risks. Invest time, energy, and resources into ideas that may not always succeed. If you want relationships that are deep and meaningful, you must be vulnerable, open, and willing to face rejection. If you want health and strength, you must push your body beyond ease, sweat when it's hard, and stay disciplined when you'd rather quit. If you want to find your purpose, you must explore paths that feel uncertain, try new things, and fail along the way. None of these can happen while staying comfortable, because comfort only gives you more of the same. But here's the beautiful paradox. While everything you desire is outside your comfort zone, the moment you step into discomfort, it doesn't stay uncomfortable forever. What once felt impossible soon becomes normal. What once terrified you becomes your strength. Think of the first time you tried something new, a job, a skill, a language, even driving a car. At first, it was awkward, scary, and uncomfortable. But the more you did it, the more natural it became. That's the secret. Your comfort zone expands as you keep pushing its boundaries, and every time you do, you gain access to bigger opportunities and bigger dreams. The danger is in waiting until you feel ready. So many people tell themselves, I'll chase my dream when I'm more confident, when I have more money, when I know more, when I feel prepared. But readiness doesn't come first. Action does. Confidence is not something you get before stepping out. It's something you earn after you've taken the leap. The bridge to your dreams is built one uncomfortable step at a time, and the longer you wait, the further away that dream feels. Your future self is already living outside your comfort zone. That stronger, wiser, braver version of you is waiting in the discomfort you fear today, and the only way to meet that version of yourself is to move toward the very things that scare you. Fear will always exist, but it is not there to stop you. It is there to guide you. It points directly to the areas where growth and opportunity live. The very things you are afraid of, failure, rejection, judgment, are the exact areas where your breakthroughs are hiding. Outside the comfort zone is not just where growth lives, but where life itself feels richer. When you take risks, pursue dreams, and challenge yourself, you don't just achieve more, you feel more alive. You create stories worth telling, experiences worth remembering, and victories worth celebrating. You stop existing and start living. And even though the journey is uncertain, it's far more fulfilling than staying in a predictable routine that leaves you wondering, what if? So when you feel fear rise inside you, when you stand at the edge of something that feels uncomfortable, remember this. That is the exact place where transformation begins. That's where your dreams live, your potential waits, and your future is built. Failure. The word itself feels heavy. From the time we are children, we are taught to fear it, to avoid it, to see it as something shameful. In school, failure meant bad grades, disappointment, and punishment. In life, it often feels like rejection, embarrassment, or proof that we're not good enough. But here's the truth that most people never fully embrace. Failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is the very path that leads you there. No one has ever achieved anything meaningful without stumbling, struggling, and falling along the way. The problem is that many people see failure as the end of the road, when in reality, it is only a stepping stone. Every failure carries within it a lesson, a correction, a redirection. It shows you what doesn't work, so you can move closer to what does. Success is built on a foundation of failed attempts, mistakes, and setbacks. If you erase failure from the story, you erase growth, learning, and eventually victory. Think about learning to ride a bicycle. Nobody gets it right on the first try. You wobble, lose balance, fall, scrape your knees, and get back up. Each fall is not proof that you can't ride. It's part of the process of learning to ride. In fact, without falling, you would never learn balance. Life works the same way. The failures you face are not there to break you, but to teach you balance, resilience, and strength. Failure has a way of revealing what success never could. Success can make you comfortable, but failure makes you hungry. Success can make you proud, but failure keeps you humble. Success might show you what you're capable of, but failure shows you what you're made of. When everything goes wrong and you still choose to keep going, that's when your character is forged. That's when you discover that your spirit is stronger than any setback. Most people quit too soon because they misunderstand failure. They think failure means this is the end, instead of realizing it means this is the beginning. The first time you fall short, the first time your plan doesn't work, the first time you face rejection, that's not proof that you're not capable. It's proof that you're on the journey. Nobody gets it right the first time, and if they do, it's because they didn't dream big enough. Big dreams require big risks, and big risks bring big failures. But those failures are exactly what prepare you for the size of the success you're chasing. Look at every invention, every breakthrough, every success story in history. Behind it is a mountain of failures. The light bulb wasn't invented in a single try. It took thousands of failed experiments. Every musician, athlete, entrepreneur, or leader you admire has a trail of failures behind them that the world doesn't see. The difference is, they didn't stop when they failed. They didn't see failure as the final chapter. They saw it as part of the process. And because they kept going, those failures became stepping stones toward success. But here's the danger. Most people never allow themselves to fail enough times to succeed. They fail once or twice, and they give up. They think failure means they're not good enough, when in reality it just means they need more attempts, more practice, more persistence. Imagine if a child gave up learning to walk after falling once or twice. They would never learn. Yet as adults, many of us do exactly that. We fall once, and we stop trying. But mastery in any area of life requires falling, failing, and getting back up again. Failure also teaches you creativity. When one path doesn't work, you are forced to find another way. When one door closes, you are forced to look for a window. That process of adapting, adjusting, and finding new solutions is what eventually leads you to breakthroughs. Success is rarely a straight line. It's a messy journey filled with wrong turns, setbacks, and detours. But each detour teaches you something you would never have learned if everything had gone smoothly. What makes failure so powerful is not the failure itself, but how you respond to it. Some people let it define them, convince them to stop trying, and shrink their dreams. Others use it as fuel. They take the lesson, adjust their approach, and try again with more wisdom and determination than before. That's the difference between people who succeed and people who stay stuck. Both experience failure, but only one group learns to see it as feedback instead of finality. Failure strips away excuses. It forces you to confront reality, to see where you need to grow, and to develop the grit required to keep moving. It exposes your weaknesses so you can strengthen them, and it tests your commitment to your goals. If you are willing to fail repeatedly, you are proving that your dream is worth the struggle. And the truth is, every time you fail and rise again, you become a little stronger, a little braver, and a little closer to the life you want. Failure is not a dead end, it's a doorway. And behind that doorway is the growth, the wisdom, and the resilience you need to handle success when it finally comes. Success without failure is empty because it hasn't been earned. But success built on failure, that is solid, unshakable, and deeply rewarding. Fear is one of the strongest forces holding people back from becoming who they are meant to be. It disguises itself as protection, but in reality, it becomes a prison. It whispers in your ear, don't take that risk, don't speak up, don't try something new, don't step out. And because fear feels so real, many people obey it without questioning. They let it control their decisions, limit their actions, and ultimately shape their lives. But here's the truth. Most of the fears that keep you trapped are illusions. mental walls you've built around yourself that stop you from stepping into the life you desire. Fear has many faces. It could be the fear of failure, the fear of rejection, the fear of judgment, or even the fear of success itself. Sometimes it's loud and sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it shouts in your mind, making you panic, and other times it's subtle, whispering doubts that make you delay, procrastinate, and wait for a better time. But no matter what form it takes, fear always has the same result. It keeps you from moving forward. And while fear may protect you from discomfort in the moment, it robs you of growth, opportunities, and fulfillment in the long run. The cruel part about fear is that it feels convincing. Your mind will always try to justify it. I'm not ready yet. I need more time. What if I embarrass myself? What if it doesn't work out? And so you wait. You wait for confidence. You wait for the fear to go away. You wait for the perfect conditions. But that wait never ends because fear never disappears on its own. Fear does not go away before you act. It goes away because you act. Every single person who has ever stepped into greatness did so while they were still afraid. They didn't wait until the fear was gone. They used courage to move despite the fear, and only then did fear begin to shrink. The prison of fear is not built overnight. It is built brick by brick. Every time you choose safety over growth, every time you let fear decide, the walls of your prison grow taller. You avoid speaking up in a meeting because you're afraid of being judged, and the wall gets higher. You avoid chasing your dream because you're afraid of failing, and the wall gets stronger. You avoid change because you're afraid of discomfort, and the wall gets thicker. Eventually, the prison becomes so strong that you stop noticing it. You simply accept that this is how life is supposed to be, but it's not. Life is not meant to be lived behind invisible bars. What makes fear so powerful is not that it's real, but that you believe it. The fear of rejection convinces you that others' opinions define your worth. The fear of failure convinces you that one setback erases your potential. The fear of judgment convinces you to silence your voice even when you have something valuable to share. But none of these fears are truths. They are only stories your mind tells you to keep you safe. And yet, by listening to those stories, you end up trapped in a smaller version of your life than what you're truly capable of living. The irony of fear is that the very things you're afraid of are often the keys to your freedom. If you're afraid of speaking, then speaking is what will set you free. If you're afraid of starting, then starting is what will open new doors. If you're afraid of failing, then failing is exactly what will teach you the lessons you need. Fear tries to block the path, but that path is almost always the one that leads to growth. Which means your fear isn't a stop sign, it's a compass. It shows you exactly where you need to go, because behind that fear is the breakthrough you've been waiting for. Living in fear is exhausting because it's a constant battle between your potential and your hesitation. Deep down, you know there's more inside you, but fear convinces you to settle. And the longer you settle, the harder it becomes to imagine life beyond your limitations. Fear doesn't just keep you from opportunities. It slowly convinces you to lower your expectations. You stop dreaming big, you stop believing in possibilities, and you shrink your life to fit inside your prison. That's how people end up living with regret, because they allowed fear to silence their courage. But courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the decision to move forward even while fear is screaming at you to stop. Courage is standing on a stage even when your hands are shaking. Courage is taking a risk even when your mind is full of doubts. Courage is knocking on a door of opportunity even when you're terrified it will slam in your face. Courage doesn't mean you feel fearless. It means you don't let fear control the outcome. And the more you practice courage, the weaker fear becomes. Fear may never completely disappear, but it doesn't have to. Because every time you choose courage over fear, you prove to yourself that fear doesn't own you. You break down another brick in the prison walls. You make the cage weaker. You start to taste freedom. And as you continue to act despite fear, you begin to realize something powerful, that most of the fears that once paralyzed you were never real in the first place. They were just illusions your mind created to keep you safe. And once you step beyond them, you see that the world is much bigger than the prison you once lived in. Courage is often misunderstood. Many people think that courage means the absence of fear, that somehow the brave are different because they don't feel afraid. But that's not true at all. The people you admire, the ones who stand tall, take risks, chase dreams, and achieve greatness, they feel fear just like you do. The difference is they choose to act in spite of it. They understand a powerful truth. Courage doesn't mean you're not scared. Courage means you're scared, and you do it anyway. Fear is a natural human emotion. It's your body's way of protecting you from danger. But most of the fears you face today are not life or death threats. They're fears of rejection, of failure, of embarrassment, of the unknown. They feel real, but they're not fatal. Yet so many people let these fears hold them back because they believe they need to get rid of the fear before they take action. That's where they go wrong. Fear doesn't vanish before you act. It shrinks because you act. Courage is the bridge between fear and freedom. Think about the first time you tried something new, something that mattered to you. Maybe it was speaking in front of a group, starting a project, applying for a job, confessing your feelings to someone, or making a bold decision. Remember how your heart pounded, how your hands shook, how your mind raced with doubts? That was fear. But the moment you moved forward anyway, even with the fear still inside you, that was courage. And if you look back now, you'll realize that it wasn't nearly as terrifying as your mind made it seem. In fact, afterward, you probably felt stronger, more alive, more capable. That's the gift of courage. The truth is, you don't need to feel confident before you act. You don't need to feel ready. You don't need to wait for fear to disappear. All you need is the willingness to take the step while fear is still present. That's how courage works. It's not the absence of fear, it's the mastery of fear. And mastery doesn't come from waiting, it comes from doing. Each time you act in fear, you weaken its grip. Each time you move forward despite your doubts, you build inner strength. And over time, what once terrified you becomes something you handle with ease. The problem is, many people believe courage belongs only to extraordinary individuals, soldiers, leaders, pioneers, heroes. But courage is not limited to the battlefield or the spotlight. Courage is something you practice every single day. Courage is having the difficult conversation you've been avoiding. Courage is standing up for yourself when it would be easier to stay silent. Courage is admitting you don't know something and choosing to learn. Courage is trying again after you've failed. Courage is showing up even when you don't feel like you belong. These small, everyday acts of courage add up, and together they transform you into someone unshakable. It's important to understand that courage is not a one-time decision. It's not something you summon once and then you're set for life. Courage is a habit. It's something you practice over and over again until it becomes part of who you are. Every time you choose courage, you're rewiring your brain to see fear differently. You stop treating fear as a stop sign and start treating it as a green light. Fear becomes the signal that says, this is exactly where you need to go. And the beautiful thing about courage is that it doesn't just change you, it inspires others. When people see you step forward despite fear, it gives them permission to do the same. Courage is contagious. A single act of bravery can ripple out and influence countless lives. When you speak up, others find their voice. When you take risks, others find their strength. When you chase your dream, others are reminded of their own. By choosing courage, you're not just freeing yourself from fear, you're showing others that freedom is possible for them too. But make no mistake, doing it scared will never feel easy. Your mind will still come up with excuses. Your body will still react with nerves. Fear doesn't vanish overnight, but if you wait until you feel ready, you'll wait forever. Courage is not about waiting until the fear is gone, it's about stepping into the storm and trusting yourself to find your way through it. The trembling hands, the racing heart, the shaky voice, that's not weakness. That's the sound of growth. That's the sign that you're alive, that you're moving, that you're becoming more than you were yesterday. Every hero, every leader, every success story you've ever heard has this in common. They did it scared. They walked into rooms where they didn't feel qualified. They chased opportunities they weren't sure they could handle. They spoke when their voice trembled. They failed and tried again. What sets them apart is not fearlessness, It's courage. And that courage is something you already have inside you. You don't need to wait for it. You just need to choose it, moment by moment, step by step, decision by decision. So when fear shows up, and it always will, don't see it as the enemy. See it as an invitation to grow, to stretch, to rise. Courage is simply saying yes to that invitation, even while fear is in the room with you. And once you do, you'll realize that fear doesn't have the final say. You do. There is one lie that steals more dreams than failure ever could, the lie of someday. We tell ourselves, I'll do it someday. I'll chase my dream when the timing is right. I'll take that risk when I feel ready. I'll change my life after things settle down. And in the process, days turn into weeks, weeks into months, and months into years. One day, we look back and realize that someday never came. The truth is simple yet uncomfortable. There is no perfect time. The perfect time is a myth. The only time you truly have is now. Waiting feels safe. Waiting feels logical. It convinces you that you're being smart, cautious, and prepared. But in reality, waiting is often just fear in disguise. You're not waiting for the right moment. You're waiting for the fear to go away. You're waiting for certainty, waiting for confidence, waiting for the stars to align. But life doesn't work that way. Confidence doesn't come before action. It comes after. Opportunities don't wait around forever. And time doesn't stop just because you're hesitating. Every moment you spend waiting is a moment you'll never get back. Think about how fragile and unpredictable life really is. You don't know how much time you have. None of us do. Yet so many of us live as if we'll always have another chance, another day, another year. We keep postponing the things that matter most, telling ourselves there will be time later. But the truth is, later is not guaranteed. The people who achieve greatness, the ones who build lives filled with meaning and impact, are not the ones who waited. They are the ones who started before they felt ready. They chose to act now, in the middle of their doubts, in the middle of their fears, in the middle of imperfect circumstances. You see, action is the antidote to fear. The moment you take even a small step, the fear begins to lose its power. The longer you sit and think about what could go wrong, the more fear grows. But once you move, once you try, once you take that leap, you realize it's never as impossible as your mind made it seem. Action builds momentum, and momentum builds confidence. But momentum can only begin when you decide to stop waiting and start doing. So many people are waiting for permission from others, permission from circumstances, permission from life itself. They want someone to tell them now is the right time. But the world will never hand you permission. The world will always present reasons to wait. There will always be bills to pay, responsibilities to manage, challenges to face. There will always be distractions and difficulties. If you wait until life becomes easy, you'll wait forever. You don't need permission. You don't need the perfect time. You only need the courage to take the first step right now. And here's the truth most people don't want to face. Action beats perfection every single time. You don't need the perfect plan before you begin. You don't need to have every detail figured out. Start where you are, with what you have, and learn along the way. Every step will teach you something. Every attempt will make you wiser. Every failure will push you closer to success. But none of those lessons will come to you if you don't act. Think of all the dreams buried in graveyards because people kept waiting. Think of the talents never discovered, the ideas never shared, the stories never told, simply because someone believed they had more time. Regret doesn't come from trying and failing. Regret comes from never trying at all. The weight of what if is heavier than the weight of failure. That's why you cannot afford to keep postponing your dreams. If something matters to you, if something burns in your heart, if something keeps calling you, the time to answer that call is not tomorrow, it's today. Even the smallest step matters. You don't have to take a giant leap all at once. You just need to begin. Write the first page, make the first call, start the first workout, record the first video, share the first idea. It may seem small, but that small step has the power to change everything. Because once you start, you break the cycle of waiting. You prove to yourself that action is possible, and from that single step, more steps will follow. The truth is, the best opportunities rarely wait for you. They appear and they require action. If you hesitate too long, someone else will seize them. If you wait too long, the door will close. That's why hesitation is dangerous. It doesn't just keep you in place, it moves you backwards, because time keeps moving forward without you. Life rewards those who are bold enough to act when others are still hesitating. Every great success story has a moment when the person decided to stop waiting. They didn't feel ready. They didn't have everything figured out. They weren't fearless, but they acted. And that single decision to start now, not later, changed the entire direction of their life. That same power lies in your hands right now. You don't need to see the whole staircase to take the first step. You don't need to know exactly how the story ends to begin writing it. You just need to start. Now is all you have. Now is all you'll ever truly own. The past is gone. The future is uncertain, but this moment is real. What you choose to do with it will shape everything that follows. So, let this be the moment you draw a line in the sand. No more waiting, no more excuses, no more hiding behind fear. Your comfort zone has held you long enough. The life you dream of, the person you are capable of becoming, the impact you are meant to make. It's all waiting just beyond that wall of fear. Don't waste another day hoping for the perfect time, because the perfect time is now. Step forward with courage, even if your legs shake, even if your heart pounds. The world doesn't need the version of you that hides. It needs the version of you that dares. And the second you take that step, you'll realize the door to your greatest life was never locked. It was just waiting for you to open it.